All right, welcome to another episode of Shot Clock Scribbles, and I'm really excited to have my special guest today, none other than Chris Lindsey, NBA Threads assist leader, underground hoops creative, and someone who's been on the front lines covering NBA events like the NBA All-Star Game and the NBA Cup in Vegas. Chris is relentless with his content posting, multiple highlight reels almost every single night on all platforms and building a huge following of hoop fans everywhere. Chris, before we dive into the hoops talk, really excited to have you on the show today. Appreciate you jumping on.
Oh, man, yeah, absolutely, bro. I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a long time coming. Finally got to lock it in, so I'm excited, bro. Appreciate you having me on here, dog.
100%. I was able to meet up with Chris at the NBA All-Star Weekend on Friday, so that was fun to see you at the Rising All-Stars game there in Inglewood. It's pretty dope. Good times there. Yeah, so Chris.
For sure.
Let's get started with this. Can you paint us a picture of your background, how you got into basketball, content creation, and what ultimately drove you to build your presence on NBA Threads?
Oh, yeah, for sure, bro. Obviously, like growing up here in Southern California, I grew up watching the Lakers in the late 90s, even like the Bulls, end of their run. Basketball is just in my family. Cousins, mom, aunts, uncles, everybody. We all watch hoops, played it at school and everything. So it's just part of just growing up, like, what I mean, being a sports fan. And
Yeah.
it's always something. Obviously, I never was able to make it to the NBA, but you couldn't have told me that when I was like a teenager, because I'm pretty sure we all had hoop dreams. So like just being able to kind of pivot a little bit and be more realistic and thinking about the game, talking about the game, and kind of bring an insight to it was something that I've always kind of wanted to do. I would do like small little recordings of myself talking about the game with the homies and stuff like that. And then it kind of started picking up a little bit. And then when content creation really started becoming a thing, I kind of like shied away from the idea, like, oh, I don't want to be no content creator, man. Like, it just sounded taboo because there was so many people doing it. But then one of my mentors, he's really into like tech, and he really is like always launching a lot of different things or a part of stuff that happened with like NBA Twitter, things on Instagram, like really in the hoops platforms and stuff like that. So when Threads was coming out, he hit me and was like, you really should get on this and really try it out. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right, cool. Like, another social media, we're going to try it out. Cause obviously I use Twitter like everybody else did. And, it got a little toxic over there. And then I'm like, man, I really want to give more insight or like what makes sense to the game a little bit more opposed to what we usually see, even from like the bigger networks. You know what I mean? Cause it's always just who's the GOAT debate. I'm like, when can we have more nuance? Obviously, as we see during the pandemic, things started to pick up when it came to interviews and hoops content, Knuckleheads, All the Smoke, and then all these other podcasts kind of start rolling in. And that became formed as the new media, as they were calling it, So I would just listen to those all the time. And, I always enjoyed it. And then how it came with Threads, like I said, the homie, he put me on. And then I just started putting out content and working, just talking about the game, and then got into the NBA Thread space and community with everybody on there. And believe it or not, this is my second account. I had one before, and then in 2024, I had it on launch day, and then it was weird. Like something happened with my account where they put me in this. It was kind of like this new idea they were rolling out for Threads where they were putting like who to talk to when it came to basketball. So my account went from like 100 followers to like 9,000 in like the span of a day and a half. So then I guess it like made my account look like it was spam because there was a lot of spam followers too, I was just like, oh, whatever. So toward the end of the year, I was taking a break, to log out of everything just to focus on the new year. And I couldn't log back into my account. And then I was talking to people at Meta. I was talking to like, bro, what happened to my account? I can't log in. They're like, oh, they think it's spam and there's really no way of getting it back. So I ain't gonna lie, I was crushed. I was like, oh man, all my hard work gone to waste. But then I was able to pivot and I was like, well, let me be more intentional about my content and let me really give like a message about what I'm really going to do. So that's where I came up with the name that we have now, Chris Lindsey Hoops, to kind of show that it was just all about basketball in different means like that. So that's really kind of like the picture that I was painted, and different opportunities started coming up just with the consistency that I'm always grateful and thankful for. So yeah, that's like a kind of a long-winded way to kind of let you know how I kind of got into it. I'm sure I'm missing out on some things, but low-key, that's kind of how it happened, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure. Appreciate that background too. A couple of different pieces to dissect on there. It sounds like Meta basically saw your account as spam, but you were not spam. And I definitely know the feeling about you feeling like you lost everything. I've been there before, but can you talk to us for those of us that are not currently on Threads? I've used the platform before. That was like probably a year ago. Can you talk to us maybe how it's different from some of the other platforms?
Yeah, for sure, man. Obviously, there's going to have your highs and lows. You're going to have good things about it, not so good things about it. But typically, what you're going to do is be able to find communities of people that are like minded, that you're interested in. You know, it doesn't have an actual timeline, it works in algorithms because it's adjacent to Instagram, right?
Hmm.
There's not like
Yeah.
chronological order of news, but if you follow the right things and you are in conversations, whether you're commenting or liking or engaging with someone's content or something in the actual topic or a community, it could curate your whole timeline to that. And obviously, it's a text based app, but media is also encouraged to use on there, whether it's video form or whether it is pictures, even audio they have on there, and you can sync it with your Instagram, even though they're two separate platforms. They've been able to differentiate the two to
Hmm.
where you can have
Yeah.
your badge, your Threads badge on your Instagram account, or on your Threads account, you can have your Instagram badge if you want everything all together. Your followers don't
Got
carry over from either side, so you can be a little bit more strategic on who you want to be on there. But simply, if you just put, hey, Dear Algo, right? That's like a new thing they kind of rolled out where it can have the
okay.
algorithm curate what you're looking for. And you can use the AI tools that are on there, like Dear Algo, show me
Okay.
more basketball content where people aren't talking about debates. And it will try to find people within the algorithm to kind of
Yeah.
put there. And the way that I always say to engage is just be consistent if that's something you want to do. Make sure you're tagging the right things, and it doesn't work off of likes and engagement. It works off of post views. That's one of the things that you'll see. If you'll say something, then your post could get, 1,000, 3,000 views like
Yeah.
that, which means it's just scrolling across people's timeline. You
Got
know
it.
what I mean?
Got
And the
it.
more
Got it.
consistent that you build it, the more eyes that you get to be on there. So that's like a simple way of really using it in that way on Threads.
Speaking about consistency too, speaking about yourself, sitting back and watching your content, because that's pretty much how I found you. I saw you posting some highlights, and I was like, wow, this guy's at it every single day. I wake up and I'm just seeing all the different numbers from the previous night. That's what makes it all beautiful on the other end, Chris, is sometimes I don't have time to watch Sports Center or watch that 2.5 minute quick recap of the games, right? When I go to your page, I can just see all the top highlights, and I don't have to go to NBA.com where I need to go all the way to the right to look at the shooting percentage and all this other stats that we really care about. You put it all right there. You put the true shooting percentage, you put the rebounds, assists, all the numbers that really matter about that specific player. You just don't post one, like you post multiple on any given day. So I gotta say, on my end, as a consumer, you're very consistent in your work, and that's very admirable. Definitely keep going with that. Speaking of which, what drives you to be so consistent and relentless with your content?
Well, first of all, appreciate that, bro. It takes a lot of hard work and just timing and kind of putting things out there. When I hear things like that, that's just more motivation to keep going. But earlier on, when I started
Yeah.
creating and everything, my mentor, he told me like consistency earns respect. Take the work serious unless you want to be made a clown. So that's one thing I don't ever want to do, especially like trying to be a different voice in the field that's different from what everyone else kind of does. Obviously, it's the same thing, but I have my own touch on it where it's nothing really
Hmm.
special. That's not different than any other account that has more followers or anything bigger than that. But I just try to bring things that I enjoy as a consumer. Okay, what do I like about the free throw percentage or the true shooting percentage, as you mentioned, rebounds and assists, and just have a short clip, because at the beginning of the season, it was a little bit controversial with what Adam Silver said, that the NBA is a highlight sport. So I kind of thought about that and I was like, it technically is. And especially with the new TV partners, as you see, like when they went to NBC or when they
Yeah.
went to Amazon and, now ESPN and they left Turner, you see
Yep.
that not everyone can afford or has the time to watch so much of a full game's worth of stuff. So I kind of took it just upon myself, just like any other kind of thing, as to your point, as you mentioned, how can you get what you missed right there at your fingertips without having to find a bigger account. Because sometimes they'll only focus on like the bigger name players, but what about a smaller name guy like Igor Dimon, like right, like somebody in Brooklyn who had a big
Yep.
game that you probably wouldn't even have known, and now you can see
Exactly.
that highlight, and then now you could think like, oh yeah, let me start looking out for this guy. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So I kind of took that upon myself as to like, what do I like to see or what do I enjoy, and kind of putting it out there. Then eventually start finding like-minded people like yourself.
That's why I'm on there. I'm on Instagram looking at reels, but a lot of the times too, I'm on TikTok, and it'll say Chris posted a video. I'm like, yeah, let's see all the highlights from the previous night. So that's really dope that you do that, making it easy on the consumer, like you said, because with the new partnership deals, just like you nailed it right on the head. Not everybody can afford to pay all these different companies at the same time. So no, big kudos to you on that.
Appreciate that, dog.
Yep, yep, of course. So NBA Cup, All Star Access with NBA Threads. You've had the chance to attend the NBA Cup and the All Star Game, like we mentioned. How did this collaboration come up? You mentioned how you started to get your, viewership up on there. You talked about getting a lot of followers overnight. I mean, you posted something and you already had like 9,000 followers
So on my old account, I had
on
about
account.
9,000, and then that account got closed out, and I
Got it,
restarted
got it.
again from zero. So now I'm like
Yeah,
over the 1,000 threshold. You know what I mean? So
got
I'm
it.
outside with it.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. I'm interested to know, and I'm pretty sure people out there are going to be wanting to know as well. Like, how did the collaboration come up? How does somebody get access to be able to cover the games for their platform? And in addition to that too, Chris, what's the prep like when you go into these events covering the NBA Cup, All Star Weekend, and things of that nature?
Yeah, for sure, bro. So basically, toward the beginning of the season, the Threads had an opportunity that they had presented to me. Some people that work in their partnership program in collaboration with the NBA. So their Meta Sports representatives had reached out to me and said they asked for my email just because I guess they had something that was coming up, and they reached out to a few of us who were heavy in the NBA space. And they do this along also with MLB, NFL, college
Okay.
basketball, along those
Okay.
lines too. Ones that have like stronger communities on the platform. So
Got it.
their partnerships had hit me up and had put me into a creator program for Threads, where there will be different opportunities, or whenever they had new things on the platform, it would be rolled out to myself and about 20 or more individuals. It's different creators of smaller accounts like mine, guys like Lethal Shooter, B
Hmm.
Dot, like all the familiar
Hmm.
content creators that we've seen
Yep.
over the course of time that have actually worked with the NBA before. So their
Yep.
partnership side of Meta, along with the partnership side of the NBA, came together, and they found a group of creatives to kind of put out content and kind of put some more eyes on Threads. So just so happenly, they invite us to like different things like Vegas, since we're here in
Hmm.
California. I was like, let me pull up and go over there. So they had a brunch set up for all of us in the creator group who were able to make it. So when I was there, I was just networking, talking to people. And yeah, they knew who I was. They were familiar with my work. So that was kind of cool to have people that was working with the league
That's
and
sick.
also at Meta kind of know who I was and be one of the OG
Hmm.
NBA Threads community people on there, because I've been on there since the beginning. Non-controversial. Like I said, I don't do the hot takes,
Hmm.
so I'm pretty sure they appreciate that, and it's all organic conversations and content that comes out of it. So yeah, that was like an opportunity that was presented to me, and then that in turn turned into with the NBA All-Star game that came up, because that was obviously here in LA. So that made it a lot easier just to
Hmm.
kind of pull up and get there. Then different opportunities started coming in where I got to go to the Rising Stars game, and I was able to
Hmm.
help plan an event for all the on the Threads Creator Court at the LA Convention Center,
Okay.
where the Meta partnership group had emailed me, and they reached out to me to see if they had any ideas, or if I had any ideas rather, on what we should do for everyone in the creator group. I was like, you know what? Not everyone has elite basketball skills, but you want them to have fun when they come down here to the All-Star game, no matter where they're coming from. And you want them to feel a part of not only that, but you want it to be centric to the community, right? You want to be community driven.
Yep.
So I was like, why don't we just do like a little our own version of an all-star game, right? Why don't you just make it like a skills challenge, 3 point knockout in the skills challenge. And they got
Yep.
together and they said, that's actually a great idea. Next thing I know, a couple of days later, they wrote out the email to all of us. So whoever was able to come out there and participate, they did. So it was nice to kind of see an event that I kind of like, I guess you could say planned more or less
Yeah,
with
for
the
sure.
Meta Sports event crew and to kind of see it come alive. And the NBA representatives were there too. So I got to kind of network and talk to them, and talk to some of the creators. So that was a lot of fun to kind of see that come together. And then I also got
Yep.
to cover the rivalry week that was out here with the Lakers and the Clippers. That was back in
Clippers. Yep.
January. I skipped over that.
That's right.
But yeah, they hit me up and asked if I wanted to be a correspondent for the game. And I said, sure. They let me know with 2 days notice. So I kind of had to prepare my notes and kind of get everything all together. They were able to take care of me. They put me in a nice seating area in the suite and
Nice.
everything. So I had to do my end
Nice.
and get some content for them, post it. The NBA, I was kind of like taking over the NBA account for that evening. So that was kind
Yep.
of cool to get to do that
Yeah.
and kind of working in collaboration with them. Our partnership is until the end of June. So there's a couple other things that are coming up that we're going to have for whomever's available, but it's equal opportunity to everyone who they handpicked out of their
Got it.
creative group. So yeah, man, that's kind of how that came about.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack. But I love you mentioning that you were the brains of creating that event there at the convention center. It sounds like they really liked your idea and they ran with it. You just sat back and then like enjoyed the fruits of your labor, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually wanted to go to the convention center to go check it out. I know they were there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, basically all weekend long. I wasn't able to make it there, but it sounds like it was a good time, and they had artists too every single evening as well, right? So that's pretty cool. Chris, would you say it was a success? All Star Weekend down there in Inglewood.
Yeah, I would think so. Outside the traffic, man, that was the only problem. But other than that, everything was smooth, bro. I feel like there were opportunities for whomever wanted to find what they were looking for. I feel like all
Yep.
the opportunities were there, whether you were into sneakers, whether you were into just the
Mhm.
basketball itself, or whether you were into the content creation portion, or you were a food content creator, or you're
Mhm.
into music. It had a bit of everything out here. And obviously in LA, we have so many different functions that we could kind of open up and opportunities that are presented for everyone. So it was kind of nice
100%.
to see everything, all the different activations that were going on with different brands and getting
Yep.
invited to this place and that place and, Nike, Adidas,
Mhm.
Anta, like all these different things that were coming up. It was like, man, I need like a receptionist or somebody to help plan this day out. I was busy, man, and I was tired,
Yeah.
but I felt like it was worth it. You know what I mean? All the opportunities and people I got to meet and talk to and connect and collab with and kind of be in a familiar face. So what I did was took it upon myself just mentally, so I knew what I was doing. Was like, let me be
Mhm.
the ambassador in my city for NBA
Mhm.
threads and represent what it has to do here. I kind of had let the people in the partnership portion of that know that, and they're like, "Oh, we like that idea." So
Yeah.
I kind of was able to take it upon myself, so I could have a little bit more pride and really like let people know, like, "Hey, man, get on threads, do what you gotta do." Which is why I say I'm like the assist leader. You know what I mean? Just dishing out assists to everybody, like try
Yeah.
to get on.
Yeah, I was gonna let you know. I like that bio in your Instagram and assist leader. You're definitely doing just that, and it sounds like you're building a following that's very organic. That's one big word that kind of stood out is like you're not looking for hot takes or making people click on your page just to see the content that you posted. You're wanting to do it the way that you want it, right? You're not really following a script about like, hey, this is the way that you should do it. You're just basically saying like, this is how I'm gonna do it. I don't care if you don't like it, but this is the way that I'm gonna do it because this is what I know. I definitely admire about you and your work.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. That's definitely the focus and the vision right there. 100%.
Yeah. Speaking of vision too, where are you looking to take your career moving forward? Are you thinking about staying focused on NBA threads? I know you said your contract is up in June, but are you looking to expand into any other platforms or something bigger that maybe you could let us know about at this time?
Yeah, man. As of right excuse me, as of right now, just really focusing on threads and kind of seeing how I can keep scaling and building it from there. I feel like that's where I have most of my, I guess you could say, motion is on there. So I want to keep that going.
Motion.
With Instagram, I'm able to put clips and different videos and reels on there. But TikTok, I just kind of use that one more for the highlights because I kind of noticed that that's what kind of works on that platform for me personally. So
Hmm.
the more text-based app, I can, always just fire up like a report or get something
Yeah.
or an idea or a thought or a question and put it
Hmm.
out there no matter what time it is. And even if it's like older on someone else's on their algorithm, at least it'll still
Yep.
be seen, So
Yeah.
I really want to see how I can take what I was able to do and the motion and the momentum that I have on threads and kind of
Hmm.
keep boosting it even more into the future, especially now that summer league is going to come up once the season's over
That's
and then
right.
kind of pushing that. Cause like, as we know, and the NBA it's a 12-month sport. There's always news because then you got free
Oh
agency coming
yeah.
in.
Oh
That's another
yeah.
way I kind of get activated because not everyone follows Shams, right? Not everyone
Hmm.
does that. And he may not be in
Hmm.
their algorithm on threads because he's such a
Yep.
bigger account. It's more generic. So I try to give like
Exactly.
a feel of the reports that I get. And I always give credit to the original poster, who it is, like,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, or
Hmm.
account. And then I'll
Yep.
put it on mine because it's like, well, I got to give the information to people because they may not have engaged with that account
Hmm.
in a long time. So, even if it's wrong, they ain't gonna be mad at me. They ain't gonna be mad at the other person. So I kind of give myself some bail in that way.
Yeah.
But
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
just really focus on keeping it that way and keep building it on threads and kind of seeing where it's
Mhm.
going because threads is only in July, will be 3 years old, so still brand new. So to kind of
Yeah.
be one of the OGs from the beginning is pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's big time. That's big time. Yeah, sounds like versatility. Still sticking with other platforms, text based, and then videos. You're still kind of keeping the motion on all those platforms. Love to hear that. Moving on, Chris. March Madness is going on right now. There's some games going on today. Have you been following it this year?
Yeah, for a little bit, here and there. Obviously, I've been more focused on the NBA and then baseball started. But yeah, I've been
All right.
following March Madness. You keep my phones with the updates. So usually, if it's a big game, I'll like turn to it really quick and kind of see. I fill out a bracket every year, and I get upset and let
Okay.
down every year because I feel like a fraud. I just like pick whoever's the higher seed. I just keep picking all the way to the end, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they're gonna win it. Then they end up losing, and then I get frustrated. I'm like, oh man, like I should did better. But since I don't watch as much, I only watch
Yeah.
around this time, so I'm more of a casual
Mhm.
viewer that
Yeah.
I could admit
Same.
when it comes to college. Unless there's like a big name guy that's hooping, and then everyone is kind of talking about him, then I'll see it online or whatever. But
Mhm.
but I've been watching, it's kind of heating
Yeah,
up, you know
nice.
what I mean?
It
So it's been
is.
getting kind of good. I know we got some games today and stuff like that. So yeah, man.
Exactly, exactly. Today's Saturday. We're recording this, and UConn is taking on Illinois, and on the other side, Michigan and Arizona. On the women's side, yesterday we saw South Carolina Gamecocks take down the 30-8-0 UConn Huskies, 62-48. UCLA narrowly beating the Texas Longhorns last evening, 51-44. A little bit of a lower scoring game with All American Lauren Betts posting her 16th double double in the tournament with a 16-11 game and three other players notching in 10 plus points. What's your prediction for the women's and the men's? Who's going to win it all at this point, Chris?
I'm gonna go with home team for the ladies. I'm gonna go with UCLA. The Bruins got to represent with them. Obviously, I was gonna go with UConn. But yeah, I see where that went. And it's hard to go against, coach, you know what I mean? Coach Staley, she always has
Yeah,
those girls ready. Phenomenal coach, but it's gonna be
brilliant.
good. But I think I'm gonna roll with UCLA on that one. And then for the men's,
Okay.
man, that's tough. I might just roll with UConn, man. You got Coach Hurley,
All
man.
right.
He headbutting people
Yeah.
and everything is going crazy. So he got the energy. I might roll with them. I guess they could be considered a bit of an underdog, but again,
Yeah,
my casual lens that I have, I'm roll with them.
for sure. I'll be honest too. I'm casual, especially during the regular season. I'm not really paying attention to college hoops. I only watch it during this time. I don't usually fill out a bracket. I just kind of sit back, kind of see what everything goes on in the background. Everyone talking about my bracket got busted and all that. So I just kind of sit back. But the South Carolina Gamecocks were right here in Sacramento, and I was able to watch them play. the UCLA Bruins as well, and those are the two teams that are going for it. I'm gonna take the Gamecocks. I'm gonna be against you here, Chris. I'm gonna take the Gamecocks winning this one. It's gonna be a little bit dicey, but I think the South Carolina size is gonna help them in this game. The UCLA Bruins are a pretty damn good team, and they've been beating on all these teams all season long. That's kind of why I want them to lose. Is just also like, and the Bruins just been beating up on everybody. It's like, all right, it's a time for you to take an L and losing the championship games. That's who I have in that bracket. On the men's side, really hard for me. Michigan or Arizona. I feel like any of those two teams are probably going to take it. You really can't go wrong with either one of them. But I'm gonna roll with the Cats. Coach Lloyd yesterday saying that he's gonna stay there in Tucson, Arizona. So I'm gonna take the Wildcats to take it all once it's all said and done on Monday.
Sounds good, man. Let's see if not Bryce. Let's see if he can get him one.
Yeah, no, see, that's hard. I mean, trying to crack into that rotation is very tough. So honestly, it's probably a good idea that he's redshirting this year, and just kind of getting the experience. He's getting a lot of reps in practice and all that. I'm assuming. So let's see what Bryce does next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see what happens for him. And then, I mean, he'll be the first one in his family that get him one. So, that'll be cool.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of hoops talk moving forward here too. But one question I wanted to ask you, taking on to the March Madness, what was your thought about the UConn heave from three to send Duke out last week? Thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, I had Duke winning the whole thing under my casual lens, you know what I mean? Just because of they had the most notable people and players I heard of, and obviously it's Duke. But a lot of times when you see these plays that happen like that, it's due to something that happened that was low IQ, you know what I mean? And that's just youth and inexperience that kind of come into play, being so young and high stakes moments. Sometimes you overthink.
Mhm.
Or, I mean, you can go back as far as Chris Webber for what he did. That was low IQ, you know what I mean? Just losing sense of time, score, possession, and everything, and then something happens. Great shot. I mean, great job to trap and force a turnover when you didn't need to. I don't know who had the possession arrow at that time, so even if they would have tied him up, I don't know if that was a worry or a thought that was into his mind. But that was and great shot that followed up. That's what March Madness is all about. To have the how can I say this? Testicular fortitude to shoot the ball from that far away with all that time left and to lace it was pretty good, because that's almost like a no like type play, you know what I mean? And the way these guys train now, shooting from that far away, that's nothing for them. Like, he shot it like a regular jump shot for the most part. So that was a great shot. And sometimes when you have an emotional win like that, that can almost drain you in a good or a bad way. But now they're going to have to follow that up today and see what they can do moving forward. But great shot, man. That was fun. I loved all the camera angles of the duality of the winners to the losers and just the headbutt or whatever. And then the post game, all that stuff is always fun when you watch that. So it's always good to be a hero. And now they got locked back in and try to get it done.
Exactly. Just that. You gotta flush that game and move on to the next one, because the next one's the most important game. But yeah, I thought it was also pretty wild. That's what March Madness is. That's why people watch it. So yeah, that was pretty fascinating to see.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, that was sick. All right, a lot of topics to go over. The first thing that I want to talk about as well, right here, the Giannis situation going down right now in Milwaukee. It's a story of he said, she said at this point. Shams just came out with a report, Chris. Giannis' camp is saying one thing and the Bucks are saying one thing. I think what they're saying is Giannis said that he did not want to be a participant in a 3-on-3 during practice, but Giannis says he wants to play. It looks like it's about to turn into a messy divorce. What are your thoughts about the situation going down in Milwaukee?
Yeah, man, we all tired. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to wrap it up. We tired. Giannis is tired. Bucks fans are probably tired. Shams is probably even more tired, getting conflicting reports. It's just their season is over, more or less, right? Like, Giannis is. It seems like, just to me, from my end, he's trying to save face a little bit, right? He's trying to not make it himself look like the bad guy. and be the guy who's chasing a championship because he's been pretty critical of guys who have joined different teams. So now he's kind of like,
Yes.
I feel like kind of overthinking it a little bit, but it's kind of funny just in the NBA, like when fans and the media deem you as wasting your time, they want you to move and make your job easier. But if a player takes it upon himself to do it first, then all of a sudden he's running from the grind, right? So Giannis was kind of in the latter part of that where he would kind of criticize guys for that. I mean, he hasn't won a ring in 5 years, and he hasn't been out of
Hmm.
the second round since then, or at the first
Hmm.
round even,
First
and he's
round.
always
Yeah.
getting hurt. You got to kind
Hmm.
of start looking at that. If the team, like, they're just holding each other hostage at this point, so it may be in each other's best interest during this offseason to find a new home, make sure logistically it all works out for Giannis and his side, that they can keep a good relationship. Because then, in that sense, the Bucks are going to rebuild, and then they can maybe get back some capital or some pieces
Yep.
of players that actually work and kind of can spearhead them to the front of the line a little bit. You know, they have an older coach in Doc. I don't know how much he
Hmm.
wants to coach young guys, but yeah, just without the distractions of everything and just let everything on the court be the main focus, then it'll be cool. That's like really like my thoughts on it.
It's becoming really annoying to see reports almost every single week about this situation. I'm right with you. I really wanted to be over and done with. And speaking of which, too, which team, Chris, do you think makes most sense to Giannis coming off season?
Yo, that's going to be a tough one. I'll have to look at to see like what teams are retaining and coming back with the following year,
Mhm.
you know.
Yep.
But if I had to just think really quick, like in a vacuum, I do like him in
Mhm.
Golden State. I guess that's like one of the
Mhm.
more popular ones where you
Yep.
can kind of see what could happen with him and Steph, as Steph is going to be kind of on the tail end of his career, but he's still
Mhm.
effective, and perhaps their
Mhm.
play styles could coexist. But one thing with Giannis, he needs certain type of players around him that go well with his skill set. He's going to need a lot of shooters. He's going to need things like that. Whatever team can trade for him, but they still have that as on their roster will help out the most. And there are a lot of teams that have some shooters and guys who can hit open shots because of the Giannis play style, but Steph is perfect for that. If you want to kind of think of someone right away, you know, floor spacers, because he's not going to space the floor and he's going to run the fast break.
Mhm.
You know, even if he gets doubled, that's going to open up somebody. That's how they were pretty successful in their championship run a few years
Exactly.
ago, having guys like Drew, Chris, you know, and a
Mhm.
couple guys like that, PJ Tucker as well. So he's going to need specific type of players around him. You can't just drop him anywhere and let him play with non-floor spacers because it's going to be a lot
Mhm.
of ugly possessions in that half court. So yeah, they got to be smart
Yep.
about that.
100%. Because you definitely want him to have a space to maneuver, but also um, dish out to shooters, and they gotta hit those shots. You can't be bringing in people that can't make a shot because that's not gonna make your team go anywhere. Yeah, that's a pretty good fair answer. That's where I said would probably make the most sense. I think the Knicks and the Heat were also in conversations. Those two teams are still gonna be in conversations in the offseason. So let's kind of see how that one tapers off. Moving on, MVP, Chris. It's always a hot topic, and it is right now. Luca just got hurt versus OKC. Them boys were getting their behind spanked at halftime. They were down 30 points. Apparently, Luca said he's good, and the medical staff said that he's good to go. My personal take is he probably should have just sat out because now he's out for the rest of the season and the foreseeable future. A lot of candidates. We have SGA, Wemby, the Joker, Luca, and Jalen Brown. Those are the top five players are in contention for MVP right now. Two of those players, Wemby and Joker, going at it right now. I think they're in the late fourth quarter. But would love to hear who you think is the MVP of this season and why.
You know, I gotta roll with Shea Gilgis Alexander. I think he put in the most consistent body of work. Not to say that everyone else didn't. Best player on the best team. Even when he sat out those couple of games, they were still able to win, which is, you know, a credit to his team for still being able to play at such a high level. He hadn't had Jalen Williams throughout pretty much a lot of this year, which
Yeah.
is like their second best player. He was still able to make other players around him better, and he gets to it on the defensive end. And, you know, I know people question his play style and what he does or whatever the case is, but that part is irrelevant to me. You know, that like if you could play, you could play.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think he's going to get it again, and he's has MVP moments that he's sprinkled in throughout the year, and he's really kind of putting his stamp on it against top tier teams. I mean, he's on the 20-point streak as well, which is not something that's easy to do at all, no
Hmm.
matter what level of basketball that you're playing on to be that consistent. And yeah, best player, best team, and you got to reward that effort. Like, you know what I mean? And not to mention, it does fit the international player thing that they've been kind of carrying since James Harden won in 2018. So yeah, why not get another international player to get one?
Exactly. What Chris is alluding to there is basically after James Harden has been all the Europeans and Canadians getting MVP the last several years. But yeah, I definitely like that pick. I'm rolling with you too on this one, Chris. SGA has been elite. Talking about numbers here, 31 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 6 assists. This season is where he's rolling at 55% field goal percentage, elite efficiency, reigning MVP. Still putting up 30 on a nightly basis. I watched that Netflix documentary, and he was saying that on a night that he gets 30, that like that's not even good. It's like, damn, really, man? Any other player would be wanting 30 on a consistent basis, but for him, the leader that he is, he wants more for himself and his team, and that's what they're shooting for back to back. OKC just top of the list as it is right now. Some of those other players that we mentioned in the MVP race right now, the Joker, 28 points per game, 12 boards, and 10 and a half assists, averaging a triple double. Absolutely crazy. As a center, mind you, Luca averaging 33, 8, and 4, making about 4 threes per game. He's a scoring leader in the NBA right now. He does have a highest usage rate out of all those guys. The team's been rolling with Luca this whole season. Sucks to see him going down the way that he did, but the offense runs entirely through him. Wemby here, 24 and 11 and 3 blocks per game, which is leading the league. Defensive anchor, elite two-way impact. And he did get hurt, and then he was on that 20-minute restriction coming back. Not as polished offensively as some of the others, but still making a case for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP. Chris, Jaylen Brown currently fifth in MVP voting. Do you think he's being snubbed? Do you think he's a little bit too down on the list? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think snubbed after you kind of like put all those other numbers and names in perspective, it's kind of hard. It's just the top level talent in the league is so high. Jalen Brown's already won the highest honor in the league that you can get, which is Finals MVP. Got the job
Mhm.
done, and I know he was kind of gunning for league MVP, but not at the expense of his team's success. Everyone kind of counted out the Celtics a little bit, but he's been playing phenomenal. But his numbers aren't going to look great to that, like in a vacuum. And the Celtics get like unnecessary kind of hate from people from the media in
Yeah,
some cases.
yeah,
I don't know why. So yeah, I don't think he'll be able to kind of get there, but I think that all kind of plays a role in it. But he's been playing great this entire
yeah.
year. I had said earlier that he's on his 94 Pippen. You know when Mike was gone,
Yep.
Pippen really just took over. But now G guys
Mhm.
JT back and they haven't missed a beat.
Yeah,
So well, some people are gonna knock him for that as if that's his fault, but it's not.
that's not. That's not. Yeah. Um, he's been really good this year. There was a month, I think it was in December, where he did not get Player of the Month. Jalen Brunson ended up getting it, and he was pissed. I mean, rightfully so, because come on, man. Brown was on a heater all month. He had a consecutive streak of 30 plus points. I think it was like 9. I didn't speak about his numbers earlier. Jalen Brown this year, 28, 7, and 5, 47% shooting from the field, and 34% shooting from 300% right. I feel like, too. That's a hard list to try to get higher on the pecking order. Also, a lot of those players that we just mentioned are mainly in the West. The East not really getting a lot of love there, but it is what it is. Speaking about the Celtics too, and how would you assess their season? Because it was supposed to be a gap year for them, right? Right now, they're only 4 games back of the Pistons.
A lot of us kind of had them I wouldn't say necessarily counted out, but like maybe a lower seed. But they're coached so well. They have such a balance on their roster. And Jalen Brown is phenomenal. If you think about it, ever since he got drafted there, he's always kind of had to be the second best player or third best player.
Mhm.
This is the first time we got to see it because when he first got drafted, they had IT. And then you go get Kyrie Irving and
Hmm.
draft Jason
Hmm.
Tatum,
Yep.
and after that, you get Terry Rozier, and you get a couple guys, and Jason Tatum took off, and Jaylen Brown kind of played the back
Hmm.
seat. This is the first time outside of the playoff run that they had a couple years ago that we've been able to really see him have the breaks off and for him to just fully go at it. No, he missed the playoffs one year. I think 2021. I think he missed the playoffs and they were
Hmm.
like a 7th seed, which is like the lowest seed they've ever had since they've been playing together, which is incredible.
Crazy.
And that consistency and longevity, it starts to pay off. I know everyone always talks about splitting those two up, but when you got top level talent like that, you don't need to do that. That's hard and it's rare to find to actually
Hmm.
coexist and works. Not everyone has a huge ego where they want their own team in that sense. So
Hmm.
but yeah, they're for a gap year to win 50 plus games and to get JT back, like they're trending and rolling at the same time. And they're the scariest team in the Eastern Conference. And I don't even think a lot of Western Conference teams, the top level teams, want to see them because, again, they're coached so well. They play hard on both ends. They crash and rebounds from the corners. Like they have like the
Hmm.
perfect team with the perfect balance.
They do, 100%, and they got a lot of players where it's just plug and play. Some of these guys, when I tuned into the game, especially earlier in this year, I was just like, I don't even know who that is. There's a big guy, Queta, that played right here in Sacramento. He played for the Stockton Kings as well. Gonzalez coming out of Spain. He's a big hustler and a really great player for Joe Mazzulla and his staff. And their offense has not really missed a beat when I was looking at their numbers. They're falling off a little bit based from this year versus last year. Defensively, they're slightly a little bit worse, but overall, they're still about the same. And that speaks a testament to Joe Mazzulla and his coaching style and what they've implemented there. Sam Cassell and the staff, they're just doing all the right things moving forward. They are a very scary team. I was saying maybe JT should take this year off, but it's looking like he decided to do it and he's looking good. You posted some highlights of him having was it his first triple double of the year down in Miami, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So yeah, JT looking good. It's one of those things where the Celtics have been really good for the last couple of years, and it was supposed to be a year that maybe they would be down in the pecking order. This was supposed to be a year for some of the other teams like the Orlando Magic to take that leap up. Speaking about the playoffs, Chris, what's one thing that you're looking forward to the most? Would you say?
I just want to see some of this young talent that's going to be entering into the playoffs. I want to see who's going to be able to take what they did in the regular season and let it translate into the postseason because that's really where you kind of get to it. Especially with the Spurs, it brings a different animal. They have some veteran leadership over there with a second-year coach and Mitch
Hmm.
Johnson, but you got some constants like De'Aaron Fox, who hasn't had too much
Hmm.
playoff success, but he's
Hmm.
been able to kind of play in high-level games with Harrison Barnes as well.
Yep.
Also,
Yep.
the Charlotte Hornets, Atlanta Hawks, some of these younger teams who can, whether they upset a top level seed or they push them to the brink a little bit more. And the highlights that we're going to get from these guys are going to be phenomenal. Going to
Hmm.
kill Alexander Walker, what he's going to
Yep.
do. Obviously, LaMelo is always box office. I was going to see what he's going to be able to do. So it's going to be giving a lot of other players some opportunities and chances that fans maybe didn't get to see in the regular season. And then they
Hmm.
kind of get to put their talents and everything on display.
And this is the time that everybody's watching, and this is when it really counts. So the players are going to be on their A game. Some of those players that you mentioned, like we're really excited to see what they can actually do in the postseason. The Hornets have been playing very good as of late. Let's see what the 76ers can do with Paul George coming back. He's looking really good. Then you mentioned the Hawks too. They're trending upwards. A time where they were winning 10 plus games this year. Then you got the Knicks that are kind of falling off. I'm really interested to just kind of see what happens this year. And then you got the Wild Wild West, man. It never goes easy in the West. In my last video, I talked about the West playing teams. I mean, those are all solidified. And then you got the top six teams that could really go either way. That's usually how the West goes. I'm really excited to see some of the players that you mentioned and, see what happens during this NBA playoffs.
Yeah, same,
Switching.
bro.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. And Chris, just switching gears, going back to you here. So you built a very engaged following. How do you interact with your audience, and how do you Let me do that again. All right. So switching gears here, Chris. So you've built a very engaged following. How do you interact with your audience, and does fan feedback influence what you post, or you keep chugging along with your vision?
Yeah, you know what? Mainly, I just try to be consistent and, try to see people as humans. Obviously, you could tell who's a bot and who's not. Usually, I'll give them a like, every little bit of engagement helps out. But for the most part, a lot of my engagements that I have are extremely positive because I push
Mhm,
out positive energy. Really don't
mhm.
cover things are divisive or that can cause conflict or raise that between people because I don't need all that negative
Yeah.
energy under all my hard
Hmm.
work. You know what I mean? And I
Yep.
don't want people just to come to my account just to argue or to do that because I don't need numbers that bad. Like, I'd rather people have a good experience in that way because
Yep.
that's what I enjoy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's pretty much like how I do commenting,
Mhm.
liking, engaging with their stuff. And it's all respect, right? If you give me respect,
Yeah.
I respect it too. I really don't
100%.
have to block many people or anything like that. So that's nice. I know how to ignore people. It's not that big of a deal and,
Yep.
or hide their comment, or anything that's, could be considered offensive or anything. I really don't like that. I like the polished kind of professional look, but still you
Hmm.
can tell there's a regular person. Like I'll treat a big verified account. I'll treat
Hmm.
somebody who's newly starting out because I'm still just a regular dude like everybody
Yeah.
else. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't lose sight of that.
What you're saying is you basically treat everybody equally, and what you push out is what you get back, and that's how you're moving. Speaking about the label here, Chris, Underground Hoops Creative. I love the label. Can you explain to me what it means to you and how it impacts the content that you make when you say that?
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think one thing is like I try to stay independent, like indie and underground without being too mainstream, you know what I mean? And being like watered down, but bringing the audience like high quality content that you could find from someone that has a bigger following or a bigger push. And I like it because then I can work at my own pace and create at my own time, my own vision, how I want to do it. And it's like to have the fluidity to kind of move in and out. Like it could be 3 days where I don't do nothing and I'm not on a time constraint. Like, you know what I mean? And then not being too predictable. You're going to come here for certain things, but not like things that I say where it's like, oh, he's only just going to say this. Like the only constant I would say is just going to be the highlights. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's going to be the
Mhm.
constant. But as far as like what I
Yeah.
say, I think that's always going to be the thing where it's like, man, what is he going to say? And build that anticipation because I
Yep.
just want people to know, like when they do hear from me, they're going to learn something or enjoy
Mhm.
what they hear. I feel like I've been able to amass that and kind of hit the target on there and achieve that and a lot of success in my work and enjoy all the support from everybody, because they don't have to.
Mhm.
I'm not
Yeah.
like egotistic or nothing like that. Like, I always appreciate everything, like, because you don't have to engage with anything at all, which I always respect. But yeah, I
Yeah.
try to keep that underground feel, you know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
stay true to myself and just be a human first and kind of
Yeah.
go that way and just engage and just have fun. That's the main thing. Have
Yeah.
fun with it.
Exactly. We're the sport, and you're in it for a good reason. You're not out here just chasing checks, or having somebody hound over you. And it sounds like what you're saying is you like that flexibility and freedom to do what you would like when you would like. Love that. Love that, man. Keep it up.
Oh man, thank you, dog.
Of course, of course. Earlier, we talked about some of the events that you hit up this year so far. You talked about NBA Rivals Week down there in LA, Lakers Eclipse. We talked about the NBA Cup in Vegas. It looks like it could possibly be moving somewhere else. And then the All Star weekend down there in LA. What are some of the standout moments that you had during any of these events? Would you say?
Man, honestly, bro, yeah, it's all like a blur. Like, like it all happened, seemed kind of quick, like back to back to back, starting in December at the NBA Cup. Again, getting
Hmm.
to meet some of the creatives who I've worked and or engaged with on threads since the beginning. So finally getting to meet them in person and them knowing who I was and knowing that they watch my work and they monitor it, or even the people who are in charge of the sports partnerships at Meta, that they were
Uh-huh.
like, hey, we want to work with you. Like, and I'm like, are you talking about me? They're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. They knew my first name and everything. So it was real humbling to kind of get that experience and get to meet people. And then I got to be in the suite with all the creatives just from putting something on threads. Like they had the very
Hmm.
first threads booth and I just made like a funny little gif, like, man, I've been walking around this T-Mobile arena looking for this booth. Like, who can point me in the right direction? And then the guy who's in charge of the sports events hit me up. It
Uh-huh.
was like, hey, come to this suite over here. After that, then they gave me that big old Threads mic and they were like, hey, we might
Mhm.
have something for you to do. And that kind of sparked it that way. Then I was just myself, which kind of turned into what was given to me in I feel like in January for the AWS challenge thing, which was really nice getting to
Yep.
do that and that opportunity doing some correspondence. And yeah, they hook it up with the suite and all these other things. And even if they didn't do that, just the opportunity of being on that radar was nice. And then all the
Yeah.
all-star things I got to do. And it's opened up to where like I'm like a reliable source for things, or I'll have different bigger communities or uh bigger creators I got to meet uh in the midst of that. I even got to go to a sneaker event for Kyrie Irving's new shoe at his brand Anta. So I got to meet
I
him,
saw
take
that.
pictures with him,
Yeah.
got to ask him a couple
Mhm.
questions and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. You know, he's one of my favorite players, someone who I always, look up to. Great guy, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's just like so many different opportunities that are there, and kind of the
Yeah.
encouragement, that I get in the fellowship, whether male or female, different
Mhm.
creeds, colors, whatever it is, like everyone kind of, you feel that closeness in the community. And it feels nice to be one of the community leaders, I guess you could say, like starting out from the
Yeah.
beginning where people remember my work and they look forward to hearing what I have to say and do. And yeah, that always feels good, man.
100%. Always makes you feel good when somebody is definitely noticing you out there. Because at some points, being a creator, and I'm sure, like, you know this, Chris, sometimes you put stuff out there. You might say something, you might post something, and you're just like throwing it out there in the world, and then you're getting all this love, and you're just like, what? Like, where's this even coming from? This is just how I feel. Sounds like, you start to receive that back. Obviously, getting to see these people in person, I mean, that just takes it a notch higher, because it just lets you know like they actually are paying attention, and definitely makes you feel good. Now, those are definitely some good stories. I definitely did see you at the Kyrie Irving event. Looks like my guy Clay Thompson was there too. He came out with his own shoe that weekend, right? Okay.
Yeah, he ended up signing his lifetime deal. So that was cool. There was no Meg in the building though. No Meg. It was just Clay. It was just Clay. So there's no Meg.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely wanted to go to that event, but I didn't have enough time. I think I dipped out LA on Saturday morning, so didn't have time. Did get to go to the Big Pod uh, with the Diesel and Adam and a bunch of different guests, so that was dope. All right, so Chris, for someone trying to break into basketball content creation, what would be some advice that you could give them based upon your own experience?
Yeah, honestly, just be consistent. Like, take the work serious. Like, put forth your effort in there and just post your work. Whether you get 0 likes, 100 likes, 1,000 likes, it doesn't matter. Just put your work out there and eventually it'll pay off. Even if it doesn't, as long as you enjoy the process of creating, like they often say, the journey is the reward, right? That's something that you could just kind of keep that mindset and just to do it. And if you only are posting just so you can get engagement, then sometimes you'll kind of lose yourself because you could do something really good. You put all your time and effort and energy into it, and then it doesn't get anywhere, and then you can get frustrated. So, in order, I would say to avoid that is just do it because you love it, and create. You don't need a big budget. You could use your phone. You could get a cheap little light off Amazon or whatever it is, and just be different. Like, even if you're talking about something that's niche like basketball, where there's so many creatives, always be a forever student and look at ways you can learn and see what you can get from others. And don't be too above the influence of criticism or to learn or ask questions, and kind of keep that curiosity and just be a student no matter what. Like, even if you got to bug somebody and you want to get an opportunity, they have to see that you have work posted or
Yep,
done. You know what I mean?
yep,
So it's always good to be and remain diligent and consistent and stay true to yourself and just don't sell out. Like, you know what I mean? Be yourself. Like Jay-Z said, you was who you was before you got here. You know what I mean?
mhm,
So just always, that's
yep.
one thing I always try to keep in mind is like just staying true to myself and being consistent.
Yeah, those are all good points. I've heard you say consistent a lot, and it's something that I really strive for as well. Because I know before I got in, I was like, yeah, I'll be posting every now and then. But as time went on, I was like, yeah, I need to be on it like all the time. Otherwise, man, if a week goes by and I don't post anything, like that person's already going somewhere else, and now maybe they're engaging with somebody else, and that's but they wake up and they're looking at their their posts and stuff. So it's like, yeah, you definitely got to be consistent. So all those points, 100% on the point. All right, second to last question here for you, Chris. NBA Finals prediction, East and West. Give it to me straight. Who do you have coming out of both sides, and do you have a prediction of who is going to win the NBA championship this season?
Man, that's a tough one, man. Don't hold me to the fire on this one. But I'm gonna go Celtics versus Thunder. I really like that. And then if I had to pick who's gonna win, oh, man, I'm gonna go Boston. I think Boston can
Boston.
get that one. In 7, though. It's gonna be close, but it depends on what version of Jason Tatum that we're getting, right? Like, who are going to
Yep.
be the second and third, fourth best players
Mm-hmm.
to kind of keep them going? Whether it's Chet, whether it's JT, whether it's D White,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Cason Wallace or Isaiah
Mm-hmm.
Joe or Jalen Williams or Jalen Williams. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? It's going to be. It comes down to everyone on the outside than the main guys. So that's what I'm going to see. But if I had to pick today before the playoffs start, as we have a week coming up, I would say the
Yep.
Boston Celtics.
That is not a bad pick because I was actually going through this in my head and looking at stats and all that before we jumped on here. Talked about it earlier too, just plug and play. You gotta both teams have all these players that just can plug and play. And you have a bench that can come in at any time of the game. You can never know, but they'll just throw them in and they do a great job in their role. The other night, the Lakers and Oklahoma City Thunder had 70 plus bench points. I mean, absolutely crazy. But yeah, that's a good prediction. Funny enough, too, Chris. I mean, that's the prediction that I had too. I had this season Oklahoma City Thunder. But here's a question for you: do you think home court advantage would be a big deciding factor? Because OKC best overall record right now in the league, and if those two did play against each other, OKC would have home court advantage, and they play very good at home this year. I've only lost 16 games as a whole throughout this whole entire season. But do you think home court advantage is going to be a big thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think home court advantage always plays a huge part in these series, but both teams can win at a high level on the road with no problem, and they
Sure.
travel very well. Mainly the Celtics. The Celtics probably have as many fans at other arenas as much as the Lakers and the Warriors when Steph is playing. So the Celtics, you'll see them everywhere. I don't think the road would be a problem for Boston because they've been in all different types of environments, whether that's Indiana, whether that's Miami, whenever they have to play there, like it's no problem, but they still travel very well. For Boston, I don't think it'll be an issue. For Oklahoma, it could be somewhat of an issue a little bit, but nothing too crazy that they couldn't
Hmm.
weather or get through. They've had one finals run together. This group with the Celtics this will be what their third, if they do get to the finals, their third in 5-6 years or something like that with the
Hmm.
same
Yep.
core group of players and
Hmm.
all their ancillary guys that they have there. So I think that experience can also help Boston. But again, all contingent upon Jason and how he's going to play and what the
Hmm.
expectation is going to be of him because he's like 60% Jason Tatum. So that's
Yeah.
still something to keep in mind. But yeah, the road, I see no problem with it.
Good point there. Both teams have already been there. They're already shown the NBA that they can do this. They're not casuals and they've won a championship. And that DNA goes a long way. That experience being in that same spot, especially for their top players. You talked about it: Jalen Williams, SGA, Tatum, Jalen Brown. Those guys have already been there. So yeah, overall, I definitely like our picks, Chris. I definitely want to see how our picks go moving forward. But that's something that we definitely got to monitor. Those two teams. I think a lot of people will probably have those two teams right now, as it stands. Things can change, injuries, but right now, as it stands, both of those teams I would say are pretty healthy as it is. Sometimes with the Thunder, you got one or two players out here and there, but I mean it's the playoffs now, or it's about to be soon, and they're going to be suitable and ready to play for that Larry O'Brien trophy. I said I had one more question, Chris, but I do have another one because I feel like a lot of people probably want to hear this from you, and that's LeBron James. He's been in the news this past week about the wrong kind of things about Memphis and all that. But I want to skip away from that and just think about if you think it's his last season this year, and if it's not, does he run it back with the Lakers, or maybe he's just gonna wait to see how the season ends? Because there's a lot of talk about him maybe possibly going back to Cleveland. Want to get your take on what you think about LBJ moving forward?
Yeah, no, I feel like the overall feeling around the city is that everyone kind of wanted him gone a little bit. They're kind of tired of the show that was going on and they're ready to move on from him and Clutch and all that. But now things have changed because now with Luca out, as we heard with AR being out, now you're like, oh, we want LeBron to see what he could do. We want 2018 Bron, which is not what you're going to get, so you're going to get some form of LeBron doing his best. But I feel like LeBron will and deserves a farewell tour in each
Yeah,
city that he goes to where
definitely.
he'll officially announce it. So only way I'll believe he's retiring is if I hear something backed by Nike and voiced over by like Jay-Z or something like that. That's like the only way I'll know LeBron is officially retiring. And knowing him, he's going to go out in a big way. Like whether it would be nice to see him doing it at Cleveland, like right back at home. I
Yeah.
think that would be
Hmm.
poetic, and I think that could be the last thing that can seal him in the GOAT debate. I mean, he's got every record. Obviously, he's not going to be able to get the championship one, but he has every individual record, and he can get in the graces of a lot of good people if he finished back where he started at, and they're still a good team, and there's not much expectations put on them as far as Cleveland. But it
Hmm.
all depends on what the Cavs got going too. You got Harden, you still got Mitchell, they still got young guys. So you don't just want to throw all that away just to get LeBron to have what he wants and deal with that for a whole year. But
Exactly.
to see how consistent they can still be, it'll be a lot easier to win. I'll say that if it was Cleveland. But he's an LA guy, man. He's been in the lifestyle too long. Stepping out in the middle
Exactly.
of April, February, even with the sun shining, to going to Cleveland where it's snowing. I don't know if him and his family gonna want that. And he's built his media platform with people who he's around. His son is over there in Arizona. So there's a lot of
Hmm.
different factors that kind of come
Yeah.
into it. But I think it'll be a more poetic send off if he does it at home where he's from. And then, he can always get that hug from his actual fans who were there, even though they
Yeah.
turned on him in 2010 a little bit with
They
the
did.
jersey
They
burning and
did.
throwing batteries at him. But I mean, I think they're over that now. That was
Yeah.
that was so long ago. And to play 24
Yeah.
years and to have his last one, and it's going to be a big dramatic thing. It's not
Oh,
LeBron not
real.
just going to do the Tim Duncan and be like, oh yeah, I'm out. Like he going to be like, nah. Again, when it's Nike powered and it got Jay-Z voiceovers or whomever, that's when I know it's going to be legit.
I'm really looking forward to seeing when that time will be. Other time is definitely catching up with him, but it sounds like he's not done just yet. With the strings that he pulls, lifetime deal with Nike, you could definitely make sure that he's gonna do it his way. Let's see what happens after this season because a lot of talk's gonna happen this off season about what's gonna happen. He's gonna have to take a pay cut if he wants to stay with the Lakers. Obviously, the situation with AR right now, the Lakers could offer the most money. There's a lot of teams that want his services, right? So the dominoes fall. Last question for you, Chris. People that are listening to this and watching the video as well, I want them to be able to find you on all these social media platforms. So can you give the fans here a quick scope about where they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's right here below, right here across the screen at Chris Lindsey Hoops. You can find me on Instagram along with Threads and TikTok. That's where I do most of my work, but mainly on Threads. If you want to get updates, you want to get my take on things, and then for some more of my visual content, that's going to be more tailored on my Instagram as well. And then for all the highlights, those are going to be on Threads and TikTok, not Instagram. So if you want highlights, go to TikTok. If you want to hear me talk, you can go to Instagram. And if you want to see a little mix of everything of that, which is what I'm really good at, hit me up on Threads right here below at Chris Lindsey Hoops. Or if you're listening, at Chris Lindsey Hoops.
Perfect. Perfect. Appreciate that. And with that, this episode is a wrap. Chris, I really appreciate you jumping on this show. We'll probably have to run it back once the playoffs start. But I really appreciate every single minute that you gave the Shot Clock Scribbles podcast today. I know you're a busy guy. You're doing this and that. So to get your time today, I really appreciate it.
Oh man, no problem, though. My dog, I got you, man. I'm definitely going. Can't wait to join again, bro. Before the playoffs, I appreciate. Keep killing it, man. Keep up the great work. I'm glad to be on here, dog.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Peace.